Hey everyone, I'm the Pixel Pathfinder, and my goal is to help you find great new indie games to play. So we're back here with our second video covering the games I'm most excited for Steam Next Fest, which is coming up here on October 9th. And just a quick recap in case you haven't watched the strategy video that I put out already, but there is a press preview website where you can get a look at what is expected to be in the Steam Next Fest coming up, and that's where I'm pulling these games from. So in this video, I want to cover the top 10 games that I'm most excited for in the RPG category. Now, it's kind of slim pickings in the RPG category, in my opinion, and I also had to kind of quantify or qualify what the RPG term actually means, because nowadays everything, they slap in a talent tree or skills and they just say RPG. So I tried to focus on games where there was deep character customization, or like a party-based combat system, or things that were pretty story heavy. So they needed to have those and also kind of have RPG as one of the top tags listed and not just an afterthought. So we're going to touch on 5 games that I'm, relatively excited about, and then 5 that I'm really interested to check out. So let's go ahead and jump in with the first game, which is called Unawake. So Unawake is one of 2 different first-person RPGs. Actually, I think there's 3, but this is one of 2 first-person action RPGs that I've got on this list. And it's the lower of the 2 because I think that while the combat does look pretty interesting, it doesn't have as many or as deep of an RPG system as I would like. So this is a first-person melee-focused RPG where you're fighting against monstrous creatures from heaven and hell. Kind of think, Diablo 3, stuff like that. And apparently for the RPG elements, what we have here is, first off, it's story-based game progression. There's also experience-based character and skill progression where you level up and learn new skills. And there's more than 20 skills to customize your way of play. So that sounds pretty promising, but again, it's not a high level that's not a lot of skills. So that's why I kind of rated this one down a little bit, but it does still look pretty interesting. The next game we have is Little Goody Two Shoes. Now, this one is called an RPG, and it's being published by Square Enix, which maybe takes it off the indie game list, but Astral Shift is not a big developer as far as I'm aware. So I wanted to include it here because Square Enix does publish some indie titles. So what we're seeing here is a story-heavy, phantasmagorical is what they call it, horror RPG. It looks like someone took a fable and just twisted it into this creepy kind of weird anime horror thing, and I think it honestly just looks really intriguing. The character design is reminiscent of stuff like Sailor Moon or maybe some of the Clamp anime and things like that. So I'm pretty interested to check this one out and just see what it's like as an experience. Does it have really deep RPG customization? Not necessarily, but it's got 10 different possible endings. And it does seem to have a lot of story style content to it. So I definitely wanted to check this one out. The next game on the list is going to be Twilight Wars. So Twilight Wars is a game that didn't quite make it onto my top 15 list for strategy games, but it did make it onto the top 10 list of RPG games. So again, kind of slim pickings, and there was a lot of overflow from the strategy genre that went into some other genres. This is a dungeon crawler set in a cyberpunk world. It's got turn-based combat that you'll see coming up here in just a second. And it's also got some pretty heavy character customization as well. So we've got, our turn-based combat here. Here's a good example in the screenshots where we can kind of see, here's some character customization, and you're building a squad, a party to take along with you into combat. And so this one looks like a pretty decent one. It's got enough RPG elements for me to want to include it in here. So 8 different agents with unique specializations with advantages and disadvantages and synergistic skills, things like that. So Looks pretty interesting, and it's one of the few cyberpunk things that has kind of stood out to me in the Next Fest pickings. The next game here is going to be Seablip. So Seablip, I think, looks pretty interesting. It doesn't have RPG in the top category up there. It is more of like an open world game, but it definitely has a lot of the exploration and adventure elements of an RPG. And this one is where you are on this island called Seablip, and you're going to build your own house and build a ship and upgrade the ship. And then you're going to take that ship out and you're going to explore, and you're going to fight other ships and pirates and things like that. And this just looks like a really interesting and unique take on this type of game. I'm kind of excited to be able to see something that features this sort of piratey theme and ocean ship style combat in an RPG. So not a lot of details, just that it's an open world pirate RPG. So looks pretty interesting to me. I'm excited to check this one out. And then the last game on this list of 5 is going to be Thaumaturge here. So the Thaumaturge is a game that honestly is kind of hard to pin down. It's an isometric RPG, very story heavy, but the reason it made the list is it's a dark fantasy RPG, and honestly the art and the monster design in this game actually look pretty darn interesting. If we kind of skip ahead here through some of this sort of intro stuff, it starts to get pretty creepy pretty quick. So we've got some pretty creepy monsters, a really nice color palette here. It just looks weird. It just looks very weird and interesting. It does say that it is, again, an isometric story-rich RPG. And then a couple of the other things we have here: develop your character, creating your own version. There's turn-based combat. And again, you're going to tame the power of the Salutors, I think, using a unique set of their skills. So pretty interesting stuff here. And again, like if you look at this monster design and just the visual design of the game, it looks pretty sweet. So the next thing we're going to jump into is the 5 games that I'm actually really excited about here coming up in the RPG category, starting with Darkblade Ascent. So Darkblade Ascent is the other first-person action RPG that I have on this list, and to me it looks much more interesting than Unawake, even though Unawake still looks pretty good. And the main reason for that is because it does seem to have a lot more RPG elements to it. So it is a melee-focused roguelike FPS RPG. So it's got randomized runs, different locations. It's got a lot of different skills and power-ups. It's got multiple classes. And this just looks like it has a lot going on already out the gate available in this demo. So if we come down, we can see that, there's going to be that melee combat, randomly generated weapons and upgrades, unique classes, each with their own talent tree and game-changing effects. So things like a fire mage or master lightning, take advantage of poisons, etc., etc. And then there is persistent character progression. So the longer you stay alive and improve your character, the more powerful and prepared you'll be to progress further and further as you go on. So even though it has that roguelike element, it still has some continual progression from game to game and run to run. So this looks really interesting to me, and I'm excited actually to get to check this one out and play it. The next game here is going to be FatalZone. So FatalZone is a bullet heaven style game, which there are a ton of these on the market right now, and almost all of them I put into the action category. So I'll have more nominees for that when we get to that video. So why did I put FatalZone in the RPG category? Well, first off, they say and RPG elements, but tons of games say and RPG elements, and really what they mean is you can pick a skill. And that's not really an RPG element to me. So what takes this game above and to the next level for me in terms of the RPG component of it is there are several things in here that add this element of long-term progression. So first off, there's base building. You have a base that you're going to progress through and you're going to level up. If you look at the character sheets, you can just see there's a lot more stats involved here. They've got different equipment that you're putting on them. You're also going to be selecting different skills and things for them, and you have essentially a party of available heroes to you. So all these things combined together to me make this more of an RPG and less of a I'm just loading in on this one generic character and I'm just picking skills as I progress, right? There's this stats boost and equipment and all this extra stuff, again, along with that base building. And you can see here in the training room, you're actually going to be picking these sort of talents for your character as well. So there's just a lot of more long-term progression that you're going to get, along with, as you are playing the actual run, you're going to be selecting level ups and stuff as you go as well. So just a lot more to this one that made me want to put it in the RPG category. The next game here is Enshrouded. So Enshrouded is one that there were some pretty hype trailers that came out for this not too far back, a couple months ago. This is a co-op survival action RPG for up to 16 players. It's built in a voxel world where you can modify and change things. It's got a really nice art style, nice character and enemy design. And honestly, this one just looks like a good base building survival style game with RPG elements that you could play with a bunch of friends. So you're going to be doing all the standard survival stuff in the wild. You got some third person action combat. And as you can see here, there's everything from bows to swords to spells. It's not just what they're showing kind of up here in that video. So there's more to it than that. And then again, epic builds that you're going to be able to create. You're going to craft gear. All that kind of good stuff. So it just looks like a really solid fantasy survival base building action RPG experience. The next game is going to be Dungeon Legends 2: Tale of Light and Shadows. So this is a more traditional dungeon crawling first person style game. So it's the other first person style game on the list. However, this is not a roguelike action style game. This is pretty much your straightforward, going down a hallway of a dungeon, fighting whatever enemies there are style game, more like an old school RPG dungeon crawler. And so this has over 700 different items, 30 types of enemies. It's a 15-hour epic adventure. If we come down here, you're going to find spell books, cast spells, use potions. You're going to have your 4 main strengths that affect different stats and things like that. So just lots of classic RPG stuff with a modern look and a nice graphic style that I think really just makes this game kind of pop. And I think this is going to be a fun one to check out as well. And then the number one game on my list here is going to be Astra Knights of Veda. So this is a 2D JRPG where you're going to have just fantastically stylized and animated characters and backgrounds. This looks super fun. It reminds me of some of the like JRPGs that I played on, PlayStation 2, 3, stuff like that. And I'm just really, really excited to check this out. It looks like it's going to have a pretty solid dark story. It's got all kinds of crazy cool looking character designs and setting designs. Some stuff that reminds me of like Diablo. This right here is looking pretty Norse mythological, if that's a way that you can put that term. But it just looks really sweet. I'm actually really excited to get to play this one. It's a dark medieval fantasy world. Again, tactical and stylish combat here. You can journey with up to 4 Knights of Veda in your party or play co-op. So it's got that party element as well. And again, a little action 2D combat going on here. So I'm really, really excited to check out Astra Knights of Veda. And it's my number one anticipated RPG from Steam Next Fest. So again, those are my top 10. I think we're definitely going to see a video for Astra. We'll probably see a video for Dungeon Legends 2, maybe one for Enshrouded. We'll definitely see one for FatalZone, and we'll probably see one for Darkblade Ascent. Beyond that, I'm not really sure. We'll have to see how these other ones go. I think there's a good chance I do one for Seablip, but either way, like I said, kind of slim pickings on the RPG side for Steam Next Fest, but I'm the Pixel Pathfinder, and my goal is to help you find great new indie games to play, and I hope I was able to highlight some pretty interesting RPGs that maybe you'll check out, download the demo, and play here in about a week or so. So if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, share the video with someone that you know is interested in RPGs or you think would like the content that I'm creating on my channel. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you taking the time to do so, and I'll see you on the next one.